It's another beautiful day, and I'm sitting here at the airport waiting on my husband to get here. He's been gone all week, and I'm ready for him to get home. But for our homework this month with Brother Lopez, he gave us homework for our third Sunday Bible study that we have at the house. And it was 1 Corinthians 12, chapter 12 through 14. And we're talking about the gifts of the Spirit. And how not everyone has got the same gifts, because we are a body, and if everybody had the same gift, we wouldn't be a body. So you got to have your hands, you got to have your feet, you got to have your head, you got to have all the different parts of the body. The same way with the gifts of the Spirit, you got to have the different gifts of the Spirit. However, 1 Corinthians 12 and 31 says we should desire greater gifts. So what are the greater gifts that they're talking about there in 1 Corinthians 12 and 31. Is it love? For in 1 Corinthians 13 and 3, it says, if I do not love, I gain nothing. Love never fails. Prophecies will cease, tongues will cease, and knowledge will pass away. Is that what we're missing, is love? Is a greater gift faith, hope, and love? What can it be? These are questions that I'm asking while I'm reading these chapters right here. 1 Corinthians 14 tells me that we should desire the gifts of the Spirit, but we will not all have the same gift. What are the gifts of the Spirit? Well, 1 Corinthians 12, 8 through 10 says the gifts of the Spirit are wisdom, knowledge, faith, healing, miraculous powers, prophecy, discerning of spirits, speaking in different tongues, and still another is interpretation of tongues. Okay, so we've got all these spirits, but not everybody's going to have the same gift, the Spirit. But in 1 Corinthians 14 and 5, it tells us the one who prophesies is greater than the one who speaks in tongues. When you prophesy, you're building up the church, you're edifying the church. But when you're speaking in tongues, you're speaking to God and not to men. Well, in the book of Corinthians, in the church of Corinthians, like I'm speaking to you right now, and if I was speaking to you, blah, 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 speaking in tongues right now, you wouldn't be able to comprehend what I'm saying. And in the Corinthian church, that's what they were doing. People would get up to speak, and they'd be speaking in tongues. And you'd have 3, 4 people speaking in tongues all at the same time. And it was very, very, very confusing. And God says, I don't want this in my church. I want order in my church. And that's what he's talking about right here. And that's why Paul said that he writes that only 2 or 3 prophets should speak, and only one person should speak in tongues at a time. And it's not when you're praying. Praying is different. When you're praying, you can be speaking in tongues. But when you're actually speaking to the church, you need to make sure there's an interpreter there to interpret what you're saying. Or you wouldn't be able to understand what I'm saying right now if I was sitting here speaking in tongues to you. So, I just wanted to clear this up and, give y'all my take on this subject right here of 1 Corinthians 12 through 14. So I would like to hear your suggestions and your feedback and everything. So let's get to talking about this chapter. This is just so good. It really is. I also wrote down tongues are a sign to the believer, and prophesying is for the unbeliever. 1 Corinthians 14, 22 through 24 tells us that if you have an unbeliever there and you're sitting there speaking in tongues, they're going to be like, what on earth is going on here? Man, I don't know what's going on. And it'd be causing confusion in the church. But if you have someone there prophesying and explaining to you, this is what God is saying to the church in a normal tone, then the unbeliever can understand what's being said. And you don't have all the confusion in the church. So, let's get to talking. I love y'all and I appreciate you. And I just hope that my post is encouraging and that y'all really find it helpful and just gives you that little boost that you need throughout the week. So God bless, and Until we speak again, I'll be looking forward to hearing from y'all's post. Okay, bye.